Okay, visible light spectrum. We're talking about yellowish orange, right? So I'm thinking somewhere around here. So we're not going to look in nanometers. We're going to use meters. So in meters, that's going to be 6 times 10 to what? Yeah, 6 times 10 to the negative 7. But is it exactly 6, or is it... it might actually be 6. I don't know. What do y'all think when you look at yours? So we're just going to call it 6. I was thinking that it would be closer to 6.3 times 10 to the negative 7. So if your wavelength is 6 times 3, or 6.3 times 10 to the negative 7, do we have an equation that we can use to calculate the frequency if we know the wavelength? Don't have to right now. Let's work out our equation first. So do you see any equation that has wavelength and frequency together when you look through your background section? Wavelength and frequency together. Do we have anything that has both? So you have the speed of light is equal to wavelength times frequency. The speed of light is always 3 times 10 to the 8 meters per second. And since this is meters per second, that's why we went with meters for our unit as opposed to nanometers. That way we don't have to do another conversion. We can just do this. So, if you know the speed of light and you know wavelength, we're looking for frequency. You just have to rearrange that equation. So C is wavelength times frequency. We're trying to get frequency by itself. So if you have wavelength times frequency, but you want to get frequency by itself, what do we do to wavelength to get it out of the way? Well, you're multiplying here. Divide it. Good. So we're going to divide by wavelength. So that gives us frequency is equal to the speed of light divided by wavelength. We know the speed of light is 3 times 10 to the 8 meters per second, and our wavelength is 6.3 times 10 to the negative 7 meters. Then we just need to punch that in the calculator. So this is how you do it. You open your parentheses and you go 3 times 10 caret 8, close your parentheses. Then you just hit divide. You want to open your parentheses again, 6.3 times 10 caret. Don't do minus 7, do negative 7. If you hit the minus button, it'll give you the wrong answer. You have to do the negative in parentheses. Otherwise, it won't work out for you. What did y'all end up with on this? Awesome. 4.8 times 10 to the 14th. And your unit here is, it ends up being, because meters cancel out, and that gives you essentially that seconds should be down here in the denominator. So that ends up being 4.8 times 10 to the 14, 1 over second, but we're not going to call it that. We're going to call it a hertz. That's your actual unit, is a hertz for frequency. That's the same thing as 1 over a second. It's a cycle per second, but we're going to call it a hertz.